If you want to know the ultimate and quickest way to take care of your spine, you can learn it in less than 5 minutes, have it for the rest of your life, and you'll be ready to roll for your sport, work, play, whatever you do, your spine will be bulletproof. This video is for you. Dr. Will here, bringing you the hottest hacks for your spine and posture. We're gonna build upon the video where I showed you how to get taller using just good spinal position. Links in the description. Today, I'm gonna show you a routine, 5 minutes. After thousands of patients that I've seen, I've distilled this down into an easy to follow routine. However, we are gonna have to learn how to move each part of the spine and the nuances to that. The reasoning being, when you move each part individually and learn to control it, you are telling your central nervous system, spine, brain, hey, I've got this, I'm in control. This will bulletproof you to injury. Number 2, what we have to do is actually move the joints so that they get lubrication in there. Moving the joints lubricates them. They don't have a large blood supply themselves, so they have to get their lubrication and nutrients through movement. That's what we're doing today. I'm gonna show you how it's done. Let's do it. Starting with the hips, this white section right here, I'm going to rotate them back and forth just like this. And what that's doing is opening and closing the joints at the lumbar spine. They go together. So when I push my hip back like this, the joints are closing. They can't go any further because they're banging together. When I go forward like this, they are opening. So I want to go from open to close, shimmying the joints, getting them moving, putting lubrication in there, and telling my brain where I'm at. So if you don't have good control, you're gonna want to look in a mirror right off the get-go. So I shoot my hips back like this to start, making sure my knees don't go forward like that. I wanna push my hips back. Then I go back and forth just like this, rotating my pelvis. I don't want to move my pelvis back and forth like this. I don't want to move my upper body. I want to be able to isolate only my pelvis. So what that looks like from behind is this. I'm closing this section. That looks like this. That is an anterior tilt of your pelvis. Closing, opening. That's opening the spine. That's a posterior tilt of your pelvis. So close the joints, open the joints. Close the joints, open the joints. Now, if I have that down and I can do it easily, I'm gonna go 1 foot in front of the other. It looks just like this, like I'm taking a step. Heel and toe are aligned about the width of a step. I'm gonna show you from the side here. I wanna push my hip back. And with any of these that I show you, the farther you can bend over, the harder it's going to be. So if I'm just starting out, there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna find it hard to control. I want to go to a point where I can control. So let's say it's 4 inches. I go back and forth just like this. It helps to put your hand like this to push down on the bone at first, the sacrum, to make sure you have control there. I do about 10 in the morning at a minimum, sometimes 20. If I'm skiing and I want to warm up those joints, I'll do 20. Show you from the other side here. Back and forth, closing the joints, opening the joints. That is where we're starting. I'm gonna show you step 2 of the pelvis now. What I need to do is actually move my spine like a windshield wiper, just like this. That's gonna take the joints with it at the bottom here and keep my pelvis still. So in the last one, it was the opposite. We moved our pelvis and kept the spine still. This one, we're moving the spine and keeping the pelvis still. So what that looks like is this. I'm going to bend just like this. I'm going to go into a posterior tilt. So I'm pushing my hips down and rotating them like this. I'm going to move my spine all the way over to the side. That is opening up the joints of the spine. All the way over. There's the lumbar spine opening on the other side. Back and forth. And this is the easiest version. However, I could go over just like this, drop my chest, and do a circle. So what that looks like from the side is this. Bend, posterior tilt. Right, there's the posterior tilt. Over to one side. Now I'm opening up this section. It's like a sponge. It's opening and closing that section. open the section, close, open, close, just like that. I go over, drop my chest, I'll feel the pull a little bit higher, opening up those joints, and over to the other side. So I do about 5 slow circles in each direction. I'll show you from the front here. Down, posterior tilt of the pelvis, coming all the way over. I'm making sure my chest is nice and far out. I'm not doing it like this. I'm bending, getting a nice high chest, posterior tilt of the pelvis, and over, down, over, and down. I'll go both ways, just like this. So I'm lubricating the joints in both directions. Let me show you the thoracic spine. This is the area I see almost everybody have an issue with. Having a hard time extending only at the thoracic spine. Most people who try to extend here actually do so at the lumbar spine. You'll see a lot of that going on and a lot of this. Okay, because this area remains stuck. You want to unstiffen it, make it nice and fluid by moving it back and forth on a daily basis. Let me show you how. So what I'm doing is taking the xiphoid process here, this bone, and moving it up and forward. This bone, moving it towards this finger right here. I'm going to go like this. What I'm doing is bringing it up and forward without sticking my butt out like this. A little bit of a hack is that you can squeeze your glutes. You don't want to do that forever, but at first you can. Squeeze the glutes, that'll hold the pelvis together and bring your xiphoid process up and forward, just like this. So I do about 10 reps in the morning. Okay, and I like to actually put my fingers on the belly button and the solar plexus and put them apart, making sure they're coming apart. My xiphoid process, this bone, the solar plexus, should be about 1 inch ahead of the belly button if I'm doing this correctly. Okay, so when I bring them together, it's almost like doing a crunch. What that looks like from the side is this. There's the crunch, there's the hunch. The crunch goes with the hunch, and I separate them, and there is a straighter thoracic spine. Now again, if you do this bent, it's going to be much, much harder. And most people can't do this yet, but you want to progress to this bend, okay? So what I'm doing here, bend, posterior tilt, bring the xiphoid process and the belly button together. Then I bring them apart without moving my hips. Okay, so there's without the hips and here's with the hips. Okay, I don't want to do that. I want to keep that there and I want to move just the thoracic spine. So I'm shimmying these joints and getting them lubricated and telling my body that I have control of the thoracic spine so that I'm able to apply this in my everyday life and tell my central nervous system, hey, I got this. On to the cervical spine. This one's actually the easiest to control. So what we're going to do is move in a circular direction, a semicircle like this. It looks just like this. I'll show you from the side. It's kind of like a chicken peck, except I'm going in a semicircle direction. I'm trying to isolate only that section, go really slow. If you've never done this before, you're going to hear some cracking and creaking, and that is your joints moving in a position that they don't usually move in. So definitely go slow off the get-go. You might feel one side of the movement be a lot harder than the other. Usually that's where your joints are actually locked up, so it's a good indication of where you're at. This applies to pretty much any part of the spine, but especially at the neck. So again, I go 5 in each direction in the least. I can do more because it's gentle. From the back, it looks like this. I'm trying to isolate only the neck. And that is the basics of the cervical spine. Now we've moved each part of the spine individually. We can throw that together. That'll be in another video. How to put this all together in an athletic movement. Links in the description. However, now you have a way to bulletproof your spine in the early part of the day so that you can go on, do whatever you want, sports, office, and your spine has seen each movement, each part has got lubrication, you are way less likely to injure yourself. Now let's go through the full routine. Once you've learned each individual part, you can fast forward to this section and follow along with me. What I'm gonna do is bend the front foot. Notice this staggered stance here. Heels in line with the toe. I'm gonna go back and forth just like this. 5 times. 3, 4. Opening the joint right here. Closing the joint. There's 5. Now, if there's any pain as you're doing this, it's a good indication that something's wrong with your low back, especially the joints. If I go backwards like this and there's pain, there may be an issue with the joints. If I go forward like this and you feel something, and there may be a muscular issue. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't forget the weight is on the front foot, and the more you bend, the harder it is. There is movement of the joints of the lumbar spine from rotation of the pelvis. Now I'm going to do movement of the spine with my pelvis still. So it looks like this. I'm gonna bend. This one I like to do with my feet together. Bend, posterior tilt. 1, 2, 3. I would probably go half the speed if I was you at the start. So now I'm gonna go on my 4th rep. I'm gonna go down just like this, and I'm gonna do a circle. Notice that my pelvis doesn't really move. It's just my spine that's actually doing the movement. So here, there, over, and down. And go in both directions here. So I do 5 in each direction. Now, thoracic spine, up, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 just like this. Belly button close to solar plexus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the cervical spine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's your full spinal routine. It took me less than 2 minutes. That's about how long it should take you. You could do it multiple times per day, but especially do it in the morning. It'll get everything warmed up. If you're feeling stiff, you could do only one section. Let's say your lumbar spine. I do that quite often when I get up off the chair at the office. So there is your full spinal routine. What we built off of in the first video, how to gain inches, make yourself taller. We now know how to groove it into your nervous system, to do repetitions with each part of your spine, learn how it moves, and put it in automatic pilot in your brain and spinal cord. We want that. We want things to be automatic and not difficult. We need to now know how to put it in an athletic context, how to be an athlete and access this position immediately without thinking. That will be in the next video linked in the description. I want to know if you had any difficulty accessing these positions or learning how to move your spine. Throw questions down or comments in the comment section. I do read those. I will respond. This is Dr. Will at The Art of Move. Please like, share, subscribe, smash the notification bell, and let movement be your medicine.